Fantastic, and welcome everyone. This is Customer First Continuity for the Western Interconnection. My name is Rob Davis. I'm the Chief Growth. Welcome everyone to Customer First Continuity for the Western Interconnection. My name is Rob Davis. I'm the Chief Growth Officer of CleanCounts. Our organization is a 501c4 nonprofit. We validate the environmental attributes of energy and serve as a trusted gateway to environmental markets. We're trusted by Fortune 25 companies, state and federal regulators, and the world's largest independent power producers. In 2024, CleanCount software handled more than 400 million megawatt hours of renewable energy certificates. Before I hand the microphone over to our head of registry and market integrity, as well as our senior product owner, I'm just going to give you a little bit more information about our organization, where we come from, where we came from, and where we're going. So as we all know, I think on this call, that companies, utilities, states, a variety of market participants want to be able to make trusted claims about the use of renewable energy. It's really important. And so in the early 2000s, there was a rise of creating registries from coast to coast. Our organization was started with a DOE grant to the Great Plains Institute and Isaac Walton League to convene a bunch of stakeholders, and then some private philanthropy that supported the drafting of our first operating procedures. And then finally, another DOE grant that helped pay for the software for the first term of the software. So we've been growing and growing and growing. But one of the key questions was, what entity should hold and be responsible for this tracking system? We looked at a long and detailed matrix. This is just a minor snapshot of a variety of different options, but finally came up with the fact that we needed to be our own standalone nonprofit with an independent board of directors, such that no one state would have full control or undue influence on the system, but everyone could trust one another with a hybrid board made up of market participants, as well as state regulators and experts in the field of renewable energy certificates. As I joined the organization last fall, I noticed the name, a 5-letter acronym with a hyphen, and sought to understand what are our unique attributes? What are the unique characteristics? What makes our organization the organization we are? And these are some of the things that rose to the top in those stakeholder interviews. Our nonprofit nature, our orientation to the next wave of customer needs, our fun and relatable staff, and holy cow, are they fantastic, our user-friendly interface, and our geographic focus on every state. It also exposed some key weaknesses. That the current brand, a 5-letter acronym with a hyphen, is not really a fun or cool thing to say. It really kills the conversation at just about every party. But it also should be flexible to electrons and molecules and no more than 2 words. But the personality of our brand is also something that's really important. And so these are some of the words that came forward: customer-focused, reliable, innovative, dependable, responsive, and most important, trustworthy. Trust was something that was ranked very high, 10 out of 10 by most people who participated in our stakeholder convening process. And so trust is the core. We also looked at this novel word, emergence, the concept of the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. And so in our case, CleanCounts, the counts are clean and trustworthy. CleanCounts, the energy attribute certificates, are meaningful and valuable to compliance and voluntary customers. CleanCounts, rather than an invented word or a word from a different language, these words are suggestive. They do some work telling people who we are and what we do. And so we've reskinned our website, and to help everyone understand what we do, we very much look forward to highlighting and celebrating success stories and having customers and regulators and other participants talk about the benefits of our software rather than us talking about the features. And so you'll see that happen on our website over the course of the next 12 months. CleanCounts are our future. CleanCounts when you need them the most. CleanCounts, your progress, our progress. I was also delighted to be able to engage with our board. As a nonprofit, our mission is to count every unit of energy with transparency, fairness, and trust. Our new name communicates both our broader scope, unwavering commitment to public benefit. This rebrand was unanimously supported by our board because it reflects the stakeholder priorities: clarity, inclusivity, forward-looking leadership in clean energy transition. And CleanCounts reflects the collective nature of our mission. Every megawatt hour, every attribute, every clean energy innovation should count. Research shows that plural brand names, like team names, they foster a sense of community and trust, values essential to registries. And this rebrand doesn't just reflect what we are today, but it reflects where we're going. We're not just a regional registry, we're a continental platform supporting electricity, renewable thermal, clean fuels, and compliance markets. It's also great to work for an organization that has 10 years, a full decade of clean audits. We've been around, like I said, for the better part of 2 decades. And what we see is that the majority of our compliance markets we serve, our engineering team is able to work directly with the customers and regulators. And this is a model that works best for our mission to help us serve those customers and regulators most effectively and most efficiently. We're here today at in the last week of August, not because we decided August, that's the time to do a big webinar, but frankly, at an invitation to share a proposal that we've provided and developed. Today, we're publishing on our website a proposal to provide customer-centric registry platform services to the Western Interconnection stakeholders. It's really important that everyone here understand we're talking directly to the regulators, to the NGOs, to the regulatory staff, to those dozens and dozens and dozens, hundreds of customers that precede our agreement with the Western Electric Balancing Authority, or WEC. So we're really grateful that you're all here today, and we wanted you to know that we're speaking directly to you. It's my pleasure to turn over the microphone, and I'll invite James Critchfield, our head of registry and market integrity, to share some insights with you from what is in our proposal. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Rob. It's good to be here today. I guess just in terms of a little bit of background on me as a person and where I've come from. Before joining CleanCounts as head of registry and market integrity, I spent more than 2 decades with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency supporting regulatory and voluntary market development with the intent to achieve prosperous U.S. clean energy future. Prior to that, I also worked for a little bit of time in the private sector with a small solar developer, gaining firsthand knowledge in the importance of how good policy and market implementation supports project development in today's market. It's through these current and past experiences that I've been given a unique perspective on the importance of registries and their role in supporting both the compliance and voluntary markets across the United States. So what is the theme of the discussion that I'm going to just talk about with you today? At its core, it's about market integrity and trust. Registries are not just accounting tools. They are the infrastructure that underpins trust in both the regulatory and voluntary markets. When that trust falters, so do the markets that depend on it. So I'd like to just recap or build on what Rob described in terms of the WEC proposal that is under consideration and on their website for your review. WEC is proposing to spin off REGIS, which is the Western Renewable Energy Geographic Information System, into a separate entity and registry governance organization. This would be an organization without in-house development capabilities from a programming perspective to build the proposed new registry from scratch that the proposal describes. We believe this approach comes off with some significant risks, and our interest today is to have a dialogue to sort of explain based on our expertise what those risks are. So risk number 1, continuity. Starting over with the development of an all-new registry creates instability with significant challenges in the data migration and ensuring continuity in historical record, potentially meeting regulatory audit requirements. Number 2, trust. Any failures in implementation, whether delays, errors, or gaps in service, would erode trust. We believe that developing a registry with reduced features and functionality runs counter to both the regulatory and voluntary market trends. where the expectation is for more transparency and capabilities, not less. And last, confidence. If the platform falters, participants may lose confidence in the infrastructure and the registry system altogether, discouraging investment, weakening participation in the market, and undermining the credibility of Western market instruments. So based on CleanCount's experience, we believe there is an alternative approach worth consideration. This approach focuses first and foremost on continuity. Avoid the risks of data migration. In this way, stakeholder information resides in its current environment. 2, focus on stakeholders, the customers who need these systems. Build off the existing registry functionality. Preserve what works while providing a basis for enhanced features focused on market stakeholder needs. And 3, focus on a tech-forward design and implementation approach. Ensure that the registry and its governance structure has the internal capabilities to deliver on the design and product development dictated by modern technology and infrastructure that's available to us today. So in summary, market integrity matters in several key ways. For regulators, market instruments provide cost-effective, transparent, and verifiable tools to assess compliance and meet the growing demands of state leadership across the Western region. 2, for voluntary markets, instruments validate and substantiate environmental and climate claims. Together, registries issue, track, and retire instruments that support e-commerce, environmental outcomes, and above all, trust in the markets that move these interests. So we think it's prudent to take a step back at this time and consider whether the current proposal on the table offers the best path forward. The best path is one that reduces risk, but ensures that the registry serves the customer, offers traditional and additional features, not fewer features, and does so at a reduced cost to the stakeholder. This perspective comes from our own experience as the only registry in North America with in-house programming development tied to the nonprofit governance structure, where our mission drives the design, development, and implementation of the registry itself. So I'd like to now introduce my colleague, Justin Johnson. Justin is a Marine turned product leader who delivers calmness to a fast-moving software development environment here at CleanCounts. As Senior Product Manager at CleanCounts, he is tasked with turning multifaceted policy objectives into a delivered functional registry product, owning the roadmap, discovery, and sprint execution phases. A veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps and the Minnesota Army National Guard, he blends mission-first leadership with modern agile practice. He's a certified Scrum product owner. And before CleanCounts, he led product and go-to marketing strategies across multiple organizations, steering cross-functional teams through new product launches and complex multi-stakeholder projects. So in short, Justin keeps the goal in sight, sweats the details, and ships the product. And then he learns fast and does it even faster the next round. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to my colleague, Justin, and it's all yours.
Thank you very much, James. Great introduction. I want to really focus on what kind of my slice of the pie around customer service and innovation. Like stated before, as a product owner for a senior product owner for CleanCounts and someone who served 10 years in the U.S. military, I know reliability isn't an option. Our customers expect the same, and ultimately we deliver that. As noted in that proposal, our mission-first approach is focused on customer service and innovation, continuity, data integrity, and credibility. These are the backbones in what we do here at CleanCounts. So let's talk about that customer-first approach. You know, I'm a stats guy. I like to talk stats, so I'm going to give bits and pieces of stats, not only around our client services or our customer service side of things, but some of our innovations as well. So in the last 3 years alone, we've had 19,900 tickets handled from over 6,000 unique contacts. So through our ticketing system, really building on this customer first approach, 73% of those issues have been solved in a single touch. That reply time, our median time for answering or responding to issues, 3.5 hours, with the full resolution time being about 16 hours total. So really having our client services team ready to meet the needs of our consumers or our customers, our regulatory agencies. We're doing that quickly. We're doing that with high quality, and we're getting it done the first time. These aren't just service desk stats. They're ultimately customer satisfaction results. There's a high likelihood that folks here have interacted with one of our client services team members. What drives that team, Mylin, Aisha, Kevin, Anthony, and Megan on our API support side, is our nonprofit mission and the call to public service. We are a mission-oriented organization, and this team exemplifies that. So the other side of that coin is our software and our dedication to innovation. Keeping the theme of stats and the impact our team has on customers in our system. We have over 40 software engineers with 10 years of development experience. Of that 510 years and those 40 plus engineers, we have 117 years of combined Clean Counts registry specific experience. So really looking at the organization, and not only from a client services perspective, but from an engineering and a structure and a foundation perspective that's already in place. Over 500 years of development experience and over 100 years of registry specific experience. So let that sink in a little bit. We've got the years of experience, and again, that foundation on the registry side to help continue our mission and continue to move forward. To expand on that a little more, Clean Counts directly manages 13 compliance programs across 6 states and provinces in both the US and Canada market, where our engineers and team work directly with customers and regulators. We have not had a single prolonged service interruption or issue going back to the beginning of our ticketing an issue since 2017. And where 2017 is an important time frame for us, is that was the year that we decided to build and launch our registry and code that we wrote and that we own. We own that full stack software. So it's in-house from our key leadership all the way down to the individual contributors within our organization. We have ultimate control over the existing foundation and kind of where we're going for the future. We talk about continuity and data integrity. For some perspective on what that actually means within our registry, coming this fall, we're about to issue our 2 billionth rec. That's with a B. Renewable energy for even more perspective inside of that. So inside that time frame, we've had 1.2 billion recs that we've retired through our system. Of that 1.2 billion, about 451 million for compliance programs and almost 750 for the voluntary market. So, Rex is our business. We understand the regulatory needs and the consumer needs of renewable energy credits. And I mean, again, with some of those stats, it really kind of brings it in perspective of what our system already does and is capable of doing. On the innovation side, which is also customer driven, we listen to our consumers, we listen to our regulators, we listen to our customers. The work we've done and continue to do remains focused on that customer driven mission. Things like our hourly rec and 24/7 clean energy buyers for the buyers. On the RTC side, the hydrogen and RNG tracking for the emerging compliance programs. And it really comes back to the friendly, intuitive, and accessible user interface. It's the UI, right? It's because what customers need, we're with the structure that we have in place. We don't have a middle ground or middle person to help, to buffer some of that information. That information from the needs of our users comes in through the leadership team and all the way down to engineering and product, client services. The folks that are using the system have direct input and impact into that system. So we'll continue to implement and drive forward with the innovations and that are customer driven. So with all of that said, I want to thank you guys and everybody here on this call for the time. And I want to turn it back over to Rob, who will close us by showing how our structure and costs are designed around customer value. Rob, all yours.
Thanks so much, Justin. And actually, Justin, if you and James wouldn't mind just coming back on camera, I've just got a few additional remarks and then we can open up some Q&A. So if there's a burning question that you're curious about, please do put it in the Q&A feature. I think you're used to doing this by now. We'll also be soliciting additional questions at the email address west@cleancounts.org at the end of the webinar. So, but I just want to make sure that we're very clear in talking about stakeholder value and also our continuity first message. So stakeholder value. Stakeholders have already, Western Interconnection stakeholders have already invested a few $1 million to get the system that we have today that's operating in West. Now, stakeholders, as I mentioned before, those are regulators, regulatory staff, nonprofit NGOs, folks who signed up and were members or customers of MRETs or Clean Counts well before 2022. So the dollars you've invested today have already built something that is functioning for compliance purposes. Our proposal doesn't just ensure that that money doesn't go to waste. It actually enables WEC with the opportunity to return up to $7 million of reserve funds that are in their last business report. So rather than spending those $7 million on duplicative software and risk, those could go back to customers. Also, with regards to clarity on continuity first, Clean Counts is the only option that prioritizes customers. We are putting customers first. We propose to freeze rates at existing Regis compliance levels through December 2029. So you have complete understanding that you're going to pay exactly what you're paying today through the end of 2029. So zero risk of disruption, full features maintained, and ongoing innovation during the 2+ years. So as I mentioned, we'll be publishing this proposal on our website. The headline is open right now. We'll take the password protection off just at the end of the webinar. But ultimately, we believe that customers should never pay more for less. That's why our proposal, again, freezes rates through 2029 and enables the return of $7 million of existing reserves back to you. This isn't our money, it's yours. And unlike, I think, maybe for-profit vendors or software consultants, we're a mission-driven nonprofit. We're not interested. My salary doesn't go up if we sell our 2 billionth or our 40 billionth rec. It's about the mission. And we've been doing this for the better part of 2 decades. Continuity, that said, it doesn't mean standing still. It means lowering risk and giving people certainty over what those costs are and that functionality is. So with that, I think maybe we'll go to some questions. Looks like we've got some questions here. Give me just a minute to get organized with this Q&A feature. Very much appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. A recording of this will be posted on our website. We'll get it up there by tomorrow. We're a small shop. We don't exactly. So, James, I think this maybe the first one might be to you. What makes, or excuse me, Justin, what makes Clean Counts qualified to continue running the registry? Could you comment to that, Justin?
Yeah, operational readiness, really. I mean, if you look at it from my military experience, mission success is paramount, right? And operational readiness is part of that. I talked about it in the stat section. We already have 40 software engineers with over 500 years of experience, over 100 years of experience on registry specific work. So, on that customer side, our registry administration have resolved nearly 20,000 tickets or issues over the last 3 years. And we do it quickly, right? That's 3.5 hours is the median reply time. So we're getting back to our users and getting back to our customers. But again, to reiterate that, mission success and, at the end of the day, operational readiness.
I'll go off mute. We'll learn how to do this eventually. All right, another question. Let's see. Okay. James, that's for you. WEC says their system will be a minimum viable product. Oh yeah, minimum viable product. Could you comment on that? Why, I don't know, why isn't that enough?
Yeah, sure. Well, I don't think rec markets are about minimums. They're about trust, compliance, and precision. I think state regulators are relying on, advanced features like hourly emission in order to implement, regulatory laws such as maybe California's SB 1158. A minimum system sets the market back at a very moment when I think many states are at a moment where they need to lead and move the markets forward. I think there's opportunities on both sides of that ledger, whether it's a regulatory but also voluntary. Voluntary markets are also looking for enhanced functionalities, again, like granular, other types of data and emissions, and APIs and other things that feed into what is turning into more of a technology-driven and focused kind of marketplace where data is paramount and accurate data and temporally available data. And so any sort of situation that is designing a product that is backing up and actually costing you to design it in a way that results in less features is probably something that isn't really what the market is interested in.
Yeah, James, one more for you. We've got a question about, so yeah, WEC says they'll build a new platform. Aren't we just trying to protect our market position?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question to ask. I mean, and you sort of touched on the first element of how I'd probably answer that, which is, we're a mission-driven nonprofit, not a for-profit market building entity. Second, I think we're, basing this dialogue on our experience in the market, the 2 decades plus that we've been doing this. We've seen some significant risk based on the proposal as it's described on the WEC website. We think the moment is now, given the timeline dictated by the WEC solicitation, to raise a dialogue that at least highlights some of the risks we see as an expert. And lastly, we also believe that this process should be focused on the stakeholders who are served by the system, regulators and others, and ultimately design the system based on their needs first and foremost. And it's Clean Counts system that provides us these insights into these risks, and what is formulating this proposed approach that we'll be posting later. We've already delivered hourly RECs in our system. We already deliver green hydrogen tracking. We have advanced APIs and features that some regulators will soon require, I suspect. And this shouldn't be formulated in a new experiment, but based on existing knowledge and insights and infrastructure. This is not about protecting us, Clean Counts. It's about protecting the credibility of the market and the trust of customers across the West.
Yeah, and I'll also just add the perspective of maybe the only extrovert on the call, and also the marketing guy, chief growth officer. Competition is good when customers win, but duplicating systems, meaning higher costs with fewer features, higher ongoing costs in addition to spending down the reserves, that's unnecessary, and it creates mitigation, or excuse me, data migration risk. So our proposal, like I said, it freezes rates through 2029. It keeps the features that stakeholders need and depend on and are used to every day. It enables the return of the reserve. And really, it is truly centered in being a customer and continuity first approach, not a exercise that might be advancing duplicative bureaucracy. So with that, I think that we will leave it there for today. I'm just delighted to give, I think, a full 28 minutes or maybe 26 minutes back to everyone to think of what your burning questions are. Email it to us at west@cleancounts.org. I'll share my screen here again so you can see the See it spelled out right there. And we'll receive all these questions. We'll update an online Q&A, and we're scheduling a second Zoom. Yes, you get more of the three of us for Friday of this week, and the details of that will be in the proposal. Very much grateful for everyone's time. Very much appreciate the consideration that you've made in terms of making time for this important conversation today, and really look forward to a productive dialogue ahead. Thank you so much. We'll end the webinar for there. Thank you.